Thanks so much, everyone, for coming to the Emerge Fair this afternoon and supporting us all weekend. It's been a really great weekend so far. And we're really privileged today to be able to host this panel discussion with these 4 distinguished artists and teachers and movers and shakers. The theme of the panel is supporting emerging art and emerging artists. And that's been the continuing theme throughout the weekend. So we'll start on this end with Narang Tintamuzik. Narang?
And I had like a career in environmental science, but now I'm a first year grad student at UNT doing my MFA. But during that time I was really involved with the practice and the local community in the arts.
Next we have John Pomara. John is a longtime professor at UT Dallas and is very influential here in the Dallas art community.
I'm a painter technically. Yes, I've been teaching at UTD. I didn't start teaching till I was 40 years old. I did all kinds of weird jobs. I was just trying to be an artist. I have been here and established a real career showing national and internationally. But I try to help young artists all the time. It's sort of a second calling for me, not just my own students, but other artists, young artists I meet along the way.
And next we have Raymond Butler. Raymond has been on the art scene for around a decade or longer.
Yeah, 10, maybe 12 years.
And curating exhibitions. He's an artist in his own right and really just an amazing MC and event promoter. Raymond is the wizard behind the screen of Talking Dirty After Dark, which is blowing up. You have to look it up and go to one of their events. Tell us about your journey.
That was it. Pretty much it. Like Randall said, I've been doing it for about a decade, maybe a little more. I started off as art student at El Centro College, and I moved on to UNT. I really kind of found my home curating art shows and kind of creating a platform for different artists. I saw the need for a lot of different things in the city that I wanted to happen, and instead of complaining about it, I decided to do something about it.
Lastly, we have Angel Faz. Angel is an artist that is really known for socially and politically active work. Share with us a little bit about yourself, Angel.
Yeah, thanks for having us and putting this together. So I grew up in the Dallas area. So I left and come back, went to Vermont, went to Oregon, and I got different feels, but Dallas is a special kind of mix of do-it-yourself, also a lot of swagger that's appealing. But there's also a lot of, like Raymond touched on, a lot of issues here. So I've used my work to further some of those causes in a way that is approachable, also inclusive. I decide to create spaces and make sure that I'm always making a way for queer femmes or, that sort of thing. So that's a big part of my practice. In addition to environmental, social justice work, it's how do we create a fabric that includes everyone?
What are some support systems that were in place early in your career which help you to get off the ground as an emerging artist?
When I came back from New York City in 1985, there was nothing here for young artists, and I was a young artist. But I knew what was happening in New York is they were banding together and artists were putting on their own shows at punk clubs and stuff. And so I went down to what was Deep Ellum when there was nothing there except a punk club. I said, I got a group of artists I'd want to show, and myself included. And he goes, well, I'll give you a keg of beer. But the walls all kicked in and all that. But I was doing that kind of sheetrock work when I lived in New York City, so I went in there the week before, fixed all the walls, we painted them, and this group of artists, like you were talking about, we put on a damn show, and the artists that were here told me, oh, you can't do that, you'll ruin your career. And I said, what career? And it ended up, we got written up by the newspaper, and one of the magazine correspondents from out of town for one of the magazines wrote a review. And it's an artist initiative. I think that's the best way to get started.
Absolutely.
For me, it was some of the causes that I got involved with already had artists who are working in those issues. Like Vicky Meek was a big instrumental person for making connections, and I think those relationships helped me grow as an artist. That was my entry point, at least to the fine art world, was mentoring with these other artists who were finding people who are willing to share what they know. I think I would say that's how I grew my practice, is by mentoring with other people who are working in the community.
But yeah, you've got to do whatever you got to do to just. It's like I got to buy art supplies because I got to make the next painting. In a way, you're like this addict, but it's a positive addiction, and it's a wonderful addiction to make something for the world to see that you can change the way maybe people see reality. Develop those friendships, especially at an early young age, and you grow together and you nurture each other and support each other. And I think that's real important to get your work out there, get yourself out there.
I'm big on storytelling, and listening to this dude tell me, oh man, we used to do this, and we used to put on shows. I had a wrestling ring in my gallery. I'm like, what? You can do that shit? It's like, that's okay? People accepted that? People participated? Like that's amazing. So it kind of really opened my mind to what was possible and what could be done. Because the generic gallery thing is white walls, everybody's doing the wine and cheese thing. I had no idea that it could be all these other things, and it would bring all these different types of people together. So I've built a whole community off of just what you and Eddie have taught me, and I've taken those skills and I've passed them off to other friends on how to do their own shows, how to hang their own work, how to curate shows, and just add my own little twist and everything to them.
And now you're passing it on. Yeah, I have to say that art show that we had, the wrestling match in the gallery, was one of the moments of true panic that I experienced. I was looking out in the crowd and people just yelling, and I thought this could turn into a riot. Out of control. Thankfully it worked out.
Yeah, that's awesome.
After undergrad, I was just doing grueling hours in my garage, painting. But I'm like, where do I get all these 100-something paintings out into the world? That I knew about Founded X Gallery, which had a very long storied history being supporting the local artists. So it's an artist-run gallery that's been here for 40-something years. But I met 12 amazing artists, got to curate my first show, have my first solo show, and that's became my core. And I met so many people from there, even just simply sharing someone's art on Instagram, a story. That's the way you build community, just the simplest thing.
We're going to close out the panel with one last question, and it is, what kind of advice can you give to young or emerging artists as they seek to grow and build their work and careers?
There's a lot of chatter up here when you're creating work, So you kind of got to push out the chatter too. Make the chatter, get it done, get it out of there. So you can get really down deep in there to discover what your voice actually is. So yeah, embrace what you need stuff.
Don't be afraid of failure. Embrace it. You're going to learn more from failure than the successes, and just work, and do more work, and eventually it starts coming out the windows and the doorways. And all the things we've been talking about: networking, work. Don't be afraid of failure, and just keep trying. I said I'm going to try one more goddamn time, and I wrote for a grant. And I said, there's no fucking way I'm going to get it. And I just spit out the truth. I won $4,000. And everything began to change because my attitude changed too. But don't give up. That's the biggest thing. Don't give up.
Taking chances. I think I would have taken risks. Sometimes we get locked into our medium. I think the best places that I've grown is by trying totally different media. How you deal with failure, how do you deal with risk, how do you deal with it? Actually you might succeed. It's just whoa, I'm actually really good at basket making. Who knew? So. Well, I'm not good at basket making. You are good at basket making.
It came from that one commission that was you do this?
Yeah.
Yes.
Let's give a hand to all of our panelists. I'm just winging it, so I'm going to ask Ray maybe to take the camera.
Oh.
we're going to announce our mentoring award
Oh, right on.
for the Emerge Fair.
Right, it's happening.
So we're going to give one of the Emerge artists who are in the fair this year a one-year mentoring award with the gallery to develop their work and take themselves to the next level. And this first Emerge Fair winner goes to Ricky Rios. Thank you. Thanks for being a part of the fair. And so we'll get with Ricky and we'll work out a mentoring agreement over the next year and see where it goes. Do you want to say anything, Ricky?
Pretty speechless right now. Pretty surreal. I didn't really think that my art nobody would like it.
We'll come back in a year and let's see where Ricky's at. And all of you are as well.